Today we're learning about a topic that's not a fun topic, but definitely something important because of the prevalence that it has developed in our society. What is cancer? The short answer is that cancer are cells which have been damaged and have started dividing uncontrollably. This can happen in any type of cell. So truly, cancer isn't one thing. Cancer is actually a disease of individual cells, each different cell in our body that's been specialized to do different things, like skin cells and lung cells and bone cells and blood cells. They all have their own type of cancer. What causes cancer exactly? It's a mutation. A mutation is just a fancy word for a change. Mutations in DNA don't cause us to become Spider-Man and Ninja Turtles. Sometimes they cause no change, but sometimes if DNA gets mutated in exactly the right spot, it can cause cancer. And the spot that is the key is the part of the DNA that controls how often cells divide, controls mitosis. Because we learned that cells, copy, divide, and then do their job. Copy, divide, and do their job. Basically, cancer cells just copy, divide, and they stop being functional cells that do their normal job. How does it form? Well, you get one cell, and something happens to the DNA inside of that cell, and we'll talk about some of the things that can happen in a minute. That cell gets mutated and begins mitosing, if you will, uncontrollably. And it forms, one cell makes two cells make four cells, and it forms a tumor. A tumor is a ball of cells, and that's usually what people feel. Like when women have breast cancer, then they'll feel like a lump in their breast, and it's a tumor. It's a ball of cells that aren't being normal cells anymore. So then the tumor in and of itself and the damaged DNA isn't the problem, but cancer is very greedy. So the cancer, because it's growing uncontrollably, it's like a kid that's growing uncontrollably or a puppy, and it wants to eat all the time. So it starts stealing all of the nutrients that would normally go to normal function of cells from the healthy cells. It starves them, and those cells stop functioning properly. So if you get a brain tumor, not only is the brain tumor growing and pushing those cells out of the way, it's stealing their food too, so they can't work right. Then eventually that cancer says, hey, there's not enough food around here, I'm going to go find something somewhere else. And cells from that ball of cells, that tumor, break off and metastasize, spread out to other parts of the body, and then start stealing nutrients from those areas. So as more tumors happen and the cancer cells steals more nutrients, the body eventually, those important parts of the body will just shut down. And it has to be in parts of the body that are the ones that require normal functioning. So, your brain, your lymphatic system, which controls your white blood cells and stuff like that. Lungs, when they can't breathe and no good. So how do we prevent cancer? Well, there's some cancer that's genetic, and those can't really be prevented. So, that's kind of a thing where when people know that that's something they have in their possibility, then they can, talk to their doctors. For everybody that doesn't really know, we can wear sunscreen because those rays from the sun cause damage to the DNA in your cells and can cause skin cancer to happen. We need to eat good food, reducing the amount of processed food that we have and the chemicals that are in that, and also the amount of sugar that we eat, because those sugars kind of attack our body cells and cause them to do silly things. We need to make sure that we get moving, get some exercise, and then we also get enough rest so that our body is worked properly but also has time to repair itself, so that if something does happen and a cell gets mutated, it can recognize it and get rid of them. And then we also want to make sure that we avoid whatever chemicals and radiation that we get exposed to as much as possible, so that we reduce the chances of mutations happening in our DNA, because all of these things can cause mutations to happen or cause the body to not be able to recognize a mutated cell and then just kill it when it needs to. These things are just reducing our chances, not the fact that we will or will not get cancer. So then, statistically, it's predicted that 1 in 2 people will get some form of cancer. But for a lot of those people, treatment's going to work and they're going to wind up being just fine. It is also predicted that some people have cancer and the body just takes care of it. It's also predicted that 1 in 4 people will die from cancer. But here's the thing. Currently, it's about 13% of the population, which is somewhere in 1 in 8 people. So that statistic is not what's actually going on, because there's a lot of other things that can cause, life to not happen anymore. So don't be alarmed when you have things like this that pop up in life that you need to know about. We just need to be scientifically informed, because when we understand what's going on, it's not as scary, and then we know how to combat it. So there is a little bit of cancer knowledge.